Hello and welcome to another countdown. Is this a countdown? Yeah, it's a countdown. So, Smiling Friends. Smiling Friends is an Adult Swim show that is spearheaded by Zach Hadel and Michael Cusack, two famed YouTube animators with a rich history with the site. Its first season dropped recently to massive success. Enough success to get my attention, actually.
I was a bit skeptical of the show at first, but the Smiling Friends mania quickly became too much for me to ignore. I caved in, checked the show out, and really liked it. I'm a big fan.
Beyond just the fact that it's awesome to see YouTubers I've watched since I was like 10 get big enough to work with big animation studios, Smiling Friends is a fantastic show, and I knew pretty quickly that I had to make a video on it. So here I am. Before I start ranking the episodes, I do want to clarify this. I am not saying any of these episodes are bad. Far from it, to be honest. I will be ranking them from my personal least favorite to favorite, but it will be based off of just my opinion, and it's perfectly fine for you to disagree. I don't even dislike any of these episodes. Everything here is something I love about it, and I wouldn't say any single episode here is even close to unenjoyable.
I just want to make that clear because, sometimes people get mad at me for saying stuff, and I don't want to make anyone feel mad. I'm here to make people smile. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
A silly Halloween special. Now, I know that this is a controversial pick for least favorite episode of the show, so I want to reiterate that I am in no way saying this episode is bad or even unenjoyable. All things considered, it's pretty great. In this episode, Pim is tasked with gathering up firewood in the forest for a big Halloween party later that day. While he is in the woods, he gets lost and eventually is confronted with some scary-ass forest demon and has to run for his life. I guess the reason I don't love this episode as much as others is just because of its comedic pacing. The episode takes a lot more time to set up its punchlines and twists, and while there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, I just found it personally less enjoyable than the rapid-fire constant absurdity that you can find in other episodes of the show. That being said, I still feel like I should give credit where credit is due. The writers attempt a completely different style of storytelling in this episode, and because of that, it stands out among the rest as particularly unique. I can definitely see why people love this one, even if it isn't my personal favorite. Regardless, there's a lot to like here, and the whole forest demon blackface ending is absolutely hilarious. Who violently murdered Simon S. Salty? This was a funny one. In this episode, Charlie and Pim are tasked with solving the mysterious murder of fast food legend Simon S. Salty. They have to investigate the crime scene and interview all the restaurant's mascots to find out who is responsible. The investigation leads to all sorts of twists and turns, including Charlie and Pim discovering a secret hidden room in the restaurant. Anyone who knows me well knows I am a total suck for murder mystery stuff, and because of that I was already intrigued from the start. But the episode doesn't disappoint with its spin on the concept. I also like the mascot characters. Pretty much all of them had a moment to shine and were able to make me laugh in different ways. My personal favorites were the twins. All in all, this episode was pretty good, and I loved the ending. Shrimp's Odyssey. In this episode, Charlie and Pim are tasked with bringing a smile to some loser shrimp guy who just got dumped by his girlfriend. Obviously, the objective is not a simple one. Charlie is convinced that Shrimp should just work on himself and move on, while Pim tries to get him back together with his ex. So they split up, and neither of them ends up doing what they intended. Pim accidentally falls in love with Shrimp's ex and tries to take her for himself, while Charlie fails again and again at getting Shrimp to change his ways. But in the end, it turns out that Pim got the wrong girl, but it didn't matter because she and Shrimp fall in love anyway. I don't really have anything super interesting to say about this episode. There's nothing about it that's particularly outrageous in either a good or bad way. But still, it's a perfectly fine comedy of errors, and I love the scene with the Chills cameo. Like, I legitimately laughed out loud when I heard his voice.
Number 15. Could I get the number 15?
Charlie dies and doesn't come back, otherwise known as the Christmas special. In this episode, Charlie dies in a logging accident on Christmas Eve and goes to hell. But it turns out that hell is frozen over because Satan is in a bad mood. So Charlie takes on the mission of cheering Satan up, hoping that he can get a second chance at life in return. This episode in many ways is similar to the Halloween special, as both of them spend a majority of the episode centered on only one member of the show's core duo. And although I think that wasn't exactly to my own liking in Pim's episode, I think Charlie being the focal point here actually works in the episode's favor. The humor here is surprisingly dry, drier than most other episodes. Without Pim's upbeat personality and unrelenting optimism, the show takes on a more somber and stripped-back tone, at least when it comes to the dialogue. And it works really well. This episode honestly has a ton of really great dry humor conversations. Seeing Satan vape and use Discord while getting a lecture from Charlie about his poor communication skills has a lot of comedic potential that is not wasted. The whole argument Charlie and Pim have preceding Charlie's death is really funny as well. And the Uber Eats scene is also great. I also really like the hell imagery. It makes for one of the most visually unique episodes in the series so far, and that's definitely not a bad thing. Mr. Frog. A lot of people seem to not like this episode as much as I do, but I honestly really had a great time with it. I mean, from the first minute, I was already hooked. The recurring bit about Mr. Frog literally just eating bugs and talking really fast being seen as the funniest thing basically ever by the characters is really funny to me, and it's expanded on further when Glep manages to garner the same reaction by spitting on people. The whole premise of the episode is that television royalty superstar Mr. Frog has been booted off his own show after an attempted cannibalization of a TMZ reporter, so Charlie and Pim try their best to rehabilitate his image and get him his show back. Of course, it goes horribly wrong most of the time. A lot of the comedy here is very reminiscent of Zach's work in Hellbenders, which makes sense given that, it was made by the same people. But this episode's rapid-fire scenes of Mr. Frog very quickly destroying his opportunities to be a good public figure specifically reminds me a lot of how basically every scene transition in Hellbenders involved the main character somehow instigating the horrific death of some random passerby, and that's a good thing. I also just find the whole episode to be a really funny satire of the whole cancel culture phenomenon that people talk about nowadays. It's not particularly serious, but I just enjoy the way it mimics the whole celebrity controversy news cycle that we've all grown accustomed to.
Gee, with the whole topic of cancel culture in focus, I sure hope the comment section doesn't get too hostile. Well, I trust my fans. I'm sure they'll keep things civil.
Desmond's Big Day Out. It's not often a pilot episode is as good as this one is. Desmond's Big Day Out is a perfect introduction to the show and does a magnificent job at setting the foundation for its style of writing and comedy. In just 11 minutes, it manages to not only establish the show's world, premise, and characters, it also tells a hilarious story. The main plot follows Charlie and Pim as they try and stop one-off character Desmond from, committing the S-word. And although the whole premise is grim, the way the show juxtaposes the sort of juvenile, happy-go-lucky, turn that frown upside down mission of the Smiling Friends with the realities of cold, hard, rock-bottom depression is just too well executed for me to dislike. And I mean, it can be a lot. There are certainly a few lines of existential angst here that might resonate with some of you.
Are the best parts of life really just finding momentary distractions to keep yourself busy so you don't think about the harsh realities of life for a second? I can ride roller coasters, meet new friends, and spend...
There are so many great moments in this episode. It's no wonder there are so many memes that have come from it. Watching it for the first time gave me a huge rush of nostalgia because of how similar parts of it are to Zach Hadel's early 2010s output. Basically everything I can say that's good about this episode is good about the series as a whole, because it does its job as a series baseline so well. It sets everything up marvelously, working as a great foundation that all the episodes would continue from, and that's really all you can ask of a pilot. Enchanted Forest. I was really going back and forth between this episode and the pilot as my number 2 choice, but upon rewatching this one, it narrowly edged out the pilot. The thing is, I admire both of these episodes for very different reasons. I love Desmond's Big Day Out for its simple premise and its constant dark humor. Meanwhile, I love Enchanted Forest for its more complex premise and in-depth characterization. In this episode, Charlie and Pim have to enter some weird fantasy forest in order to cheer up a princess. The setting alone makes this episode intriguing already, but the writers go all the way with it. There's tons of unique imagery and allusions to medieval fantasy media like World of Warcraft, and the contrast and enthusiasm between Charlie and Pim makes for an interesting dynamic. The episode even does a parody of Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, which goes a lot better than it did with Ezekiel in Total Drama. Not a second is wasted, and the episode just keeps things super entertaining the whole way through. And it's a blast right up to the end, with a hilarious twist ending involving their companion Mip. That's one thing this show does really well. They always nail their endings. Basically every single episode sends you off with a great joke. It's like the cherry on top of a sundae. Frowning Friends. It doesn't get better than this one, at least in my opinion. This entire episode is comedy gold, and there isn't a dull scene anywhere. It's a straight 11 minutes of peak television. The central conflict of the episode revolves around the new business across the street from the Smiling Friends, the Frowning Friends. The business is headed by Grim and Gnarly, whose primary goal is to make the entire world frown. I don't know how that is supposed to make money, but whatever. What then ensues is a competition between the two businesses to enact their wishes on the world, with Grim and Gnarly in the front. Pretty much everyone the Smiling Friends try to cheer up have already had their day ruined by their gloomy counterparts, and the Frowning Friends are amassing an army of people who are pissed off at the world and hate life. Of course, their imitation of true nihilism leads to their whole downfall.
Hey! No, please don't kill me, please, no, I don't want to die, please don't kill me, please don't.
That's another thing. There's a whole crazy subplot surrounding the boss that goes all over the place, but in a good way. His descent into madness pretty definitively made him the character I'm most interested in learning about further. It's just a tremendous effort. This isn't the first animated TV show where the protagonists have to face off against evil versions of themselves, but it's really one of the best examples I've seen. And the episode is still packed to the brim with other great ideas that make it as enjoyable as it is. The whole DJ Spit scene might be the funniest individual minute of the show so far. So yeah, that's Frowning Friends, my favorite episode of Smiling Friends. If you haven't given Smiling Friends a shot, I recommend you do. I haven't really been keeping up with animation as a whole in recent years, but this show did a really good job at rekindling my interest in the whole thing, especially because it's not too demanding. With the first season being a mere 8-11 minute episodes, it's not too hard to watch it all within an afternoon, and from that point you're already caught up, so now's a better time than ever.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. I also hope that Smiling Friends Season 2 comes out soon, because I'm really hooked. I'll see you guys around.